What is going on, degenerates? It is Kyle here from Speed Bets, bringing you guys another UFC breakdown. This is the first breakdown since we're back to the new channel. Welcome back, everyone. This video is just going to be the breakdown for all the fights, how I see the fights going. I'm going to give you guys a little kind of hints as to where my action's going, where my bets are going to be. If I'm throwing down a money line, a parlay, I'm going to give you the general stuff here. Right after this is done recording, I'm going to be recording another video. It's going to be the complete betting guide. That's going to go up probably a day, maybe a day and a half later. That's going to give you guys that's going to give you guys a lot of my official action, some DGen parlays, some safe parlays, some straight bets, some DFS, underdog price. Everything is going to be in that video. I'm going to give you guys a lock of the week. I'm going to give you guys a good parlay, a whole bunch of stuff, a whole bunch of fun stuff. If you just care about winning money, that's the one you want to check out. If you like doing your own research, you're just hearing people's opinions, this is the video for you. I'm going to give you guys my takes on these fights. Now, I seem to be doing all right recently, all right? Last week I got a little greedy. I went in on Michael Chandler. I'm a fucking idiot, I know. I know I'm stupid. It is what it is. You live, you learn. I had faith in my boy, but he's 39, coming off a 2-year layoff. Obviously, he wasn't going to win that fight. I'm just stupid. I'm a little fanboy. Betting with my heart a little bit. I don't do that often. I kind of yell at other people when I see him doing that, and then here I go betting on Chandler. Whatever, man. One of my favorite fighters of all time. I'm going to bet on him when I see him, but next time he fights, I'm not going to make it an official play. All right, man. Let's get right into this. All right, I just discovered a world where I can full screen this, and I'm a little slow for not realizing that sooner. All right, there's not going to be any awkward zooming. We're just going to get the full screen for this fight breakdown. I like it, man. I like it. Let's go. First fight up, we got Machate taking on Nicholas Moda. Nicholas Moda, infamous for sleeping Tom Nolan, but then they tried to punish him. They tried putting him in there with Ludovic Klein. Fortunately for Moda, he pulled out of that one. And I'm seeing a lot of people saying he's getting flown across the world to get knocked out by Machate. I'm not too sure I see the fight that way. These guys are both kind of kill or be killed type of guys. They're going to go to the center of the octagon. They're going to bang. I mean, I feel like you can't be too confident in a single side on this fight. I think that Nicholas Moda is definitely able to chin Machate. Machate's kind of got this style where he's going to take two to give one. Yeah, his punch might suck, but you know whose punches also suck? Moda's punches. Let's look at what Moda's been doing. Trey Ogden, we're not going to talk about that. That was a domination. We're going to pretend that fight doesn't exist. Because Machate's not going to fight in the way that Trey Ogden fights. Manuel Torres, obviously, you see a round one knockout. Moda kind of hurt him a little bit. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm not trying to just make excuses for him and say, like, oh, this happened, but imagine if. Like, he hurt him a little bit, all right? He felt the punches of Nicholas Moda. And then Cameron Van Camp, that guy sucks. Jim Miller, obviously. Contender Series decision, you don't love to see it, but it is what it is. I think Moda hits pretty damn hard, and I think that Machate is going to figure that out. Take it over to the Machate side. He's got that win that keeps on aging better over Steve Garcia. Now, I've always said every single Steve Garcia fight, I'm saying, if this guy's above like a minus 140, you should not bet on him. Not because I don't think he's good, but because his style is walk to the center and throw bombs. He walked to the center, he threw bombs against the wrong guy. Machate caught him. That's the Steve Garcia style. I see guys throwing up 2-1 chalk on Steve Garcia as if he's not going to walk to the center and just bang. That's a topic for next fight. Hopefully he doesn't fight anyone too heavy-handed. I think like a Drew Dober might be a tough matchup for him because Dober's not going to go down when he starts banging, but we'll get there when we get there, man. But I think Machate is going to go to the center. I think minus 200 is what it's sitting at right now. It's a little steep for Machate. I think Moda's better than that. And I'm going to take Moda for the pick. All right, next fight up, we got one. It's a pure pick'em. Xiao Long taking on Quang Li. Quang Li obviously known for taking that short notice fight last time out against Chris Gutierrez. I said it in the breakdown, then I'll say it again. Chris Gutierrez is not dangerous. Chris Gutierrez outstruck him. He could have easily, in my opinion, finished that fight if he was just a little bit more urgent, a little bit more dangerous of a fighter. But he wasn't. We called that fight by decision. A lot of people were saying knockout. I knew he wasn't going to knock shit out, man. Chris Gutierrez is not that good. Xiao Long, 0-1 in the UFC, coming off that loss to Chang Ho Lee in the split decision. Now, we were all over Chang Ho Lee official action. We gave that out as a free bet on the Instagram as well. Little plus money there. It was a pick 'em, but I think Chang Ho Lee was like a plus 110 or something like that. So proud to say I picked that one right. That entire fight was just took place in the clinch. The amount of body knees from the double tie plum they were throwing, just hammering the knees over and over again. I just didn't know what to take away from that. Nothing really happened. They were both just gassed as all hell at the end of that fight, but nobody really did any damage. So tough fight to score. I mean, if we lost that bet, I wasn't going to be too upset about it because it could have gone either way. But Quang Lee definitely lost his last fight. He got some offensive takedowns, showed his grappling game a little bit. I don't know if he's going to be able to get the takedowns here against Zhao Long. I think Zhao Long is going to be able to negate that, put him back in that clinch, throw some knees up the middle. I'm not a fan of Quang Lee's striking whatsoever. Obviously, I know Chris Gutierrez, he's a tough opponent, a tough customer for a lot of guys. I just don't see him as that good of a fighter. I think if Quang Lee was a little bit better of a striker, he wouldn't have gotten outstruck so badly in his last fight. So for that reason, give me Zhao Long. I'm going to be 100% honest. I'm probably not betting on this fight, but I think Zhao Long is also going to be. Man, I don't know. I don't know if Quang Lee is 5'6". His height is listed as 5'6". I don't necessarily know if that's true. I was looking back at the kind of weigh-in pictures of him versus Gutierrez. All I'm saying is someone's height's wrong. So I think they're probably going to be about equal height. So I know a lot of people were talking about that. I don't think Quang Lee's going to be that undersized. But yeah, I mean, give me Zhao Long by decision. Not a very confident call whatsoever. Then we have a prospect I'm very excited about in Loner Kavanaugh. Now, this guy just coming off of an absolutely insane win on the Contender Series. What was that guy's name? Antoine Ho. Loner Kavanaugh, he sold our bag a little bit. We had him by decision. But nonetheless, that was a spectacular knockout. This guy's speed is insane. I basically thought that Ho's chin was going to hold up. It couldn't. Slept him bad. That was a sick fight to watch. Jose Ochoa, on the other hand, this guy also has a lot of fun fights. This guy's a fight finisher. Super exciting coming out of that shoot box camp. And if we know anything about those guys, they're some tough customers, all right? You get guys like Felipe Dos Santos coming in. Super short notice for the fight. If I'm not mistaken, I believe it was taken short notice. Could be totally lying to you right now. Could be totally lying to you. I didn't check that. I just said that. Fucking trash YouTuber, whatever. But Jose Ochoa, he was supposed to fight Jack Duffy. I was excited for that fight. Jack Duffy was obviously the one that lost to Nick Piccolotti. Debatably, it kind of was what it was. But yeah, Jose Ochoa, he's a fight finisher, super dangerous. Loner Kavanaugh, also super dangerous. I think this fight's going to be fireworks. Now, the Brazilian guys, these guys go through hell and back in sparring. I mean, you see training videos of Charles Oliveira and these guys, they're trying to fucking kill each other. When you think of that camp, you should think of good chin. They have conditioned chins. I don't think Loner Kavanaugh is going to get a knockout here. Give me Loner Kavanaugh by decision. All right, next fight up, we have Carlos Hernandez taking on, oh boy, this name's going to be fun. I'm just going to call him Tumandemberal because I think I can do the last name. Not even going to try that first name. Now, his record, I don't really know what's going on with his record there. He's better than 2-0. I'm looking at his fucking Tapology right now. 7-0. That's just straight up incorrect. Carlos Hernandez 9-4. And Carlos Hernandez been in the UFC, been battle tested. We've seen this guy against some great opposition. Obviously, most notably, he's lost to Tatsuro Taira, who was just fighting a #1 contenders fight against Brandon Royval. Side note, gotta brag about myself again. We were all over Brandon Royval, a 3-1 dog in that fight. Anyways, then Carlos Hernandez last time out lost to the prospect Ray Saruya. And when I first saw this fight get announced on Instagram, I'm not going to lie, I thought it was another killer coming to take on Carlos Hernandez. Then I started getting into the tape a little bit. Tumandemberal, this guy hits hard. He comes in, he's not one of these Japanese grapplers that have been fucking up Carlos Hernandez. This guy's not some double leg demon, all right? I think that Carlos Hernandez can hold his own in the grappling. I think Carlos Hernandez might even want this grappling. He had some great scrambles. That third round against Ray Saruya left me with a taste in my mouth. Like maybe Carlos Hernandez could have done that. Obviously, he lost 2-1 on the scorecards. It is what it is, But Tumandemberal, I think he's going to want this fight on the feet. I think he's going to be the one defending the grappling this time. It's not going to be Carlos Hernandez defensively rustling the whole fight. I think we're going to really get to see Carlos Hernandez's full game. He obviously had that fight against Daniel Perez, Victor Altamirano. Whether or not you think he won those fights, he got the wins. It doesn't really matter right now. We can't change that. I think Tumandemberal is going to be a little over his head here. Carlos Hernandez is almost a 2-1 favorite. I think those odds are a little steep. I'd put Hernandez maybe minus 150 if I was making the line. But I do think he wins this fight. I think it goes to decision. Obviously, he looks like a fight finisher. I don't think his skills are going to translate into the cage against Carlos Hernandez. And I think this fight's going long. Alright, it's not even going to let me click on this one on the UFC website here, but we have Shi Ming versus Feng Zhao Kan, or Zhao Kan Feng. I don't know why the names are backwards on here and then on the sports books and on Tapology, shirt or whatever you're looking at. The names are just kind of weird on this card. I think it's that translation, the cultural difference in putting the last name first name last, you know what I mean? But I think this fight's going to be one-way traffic. I think Zhao Kan Feng is going to be in control from the start. Shi Ming, you look at her record, you think, wow, she's got a bunch of finishes, actually. Bunch of submissions. She's got 6 subs, 9 decisions, and 1 knockout. So obviously, for WMMA, seeing that many subs is a good sign. You might think she's a pretty good grappler. No. Every single one of her finishes is over a girl who is 0-0. Debut fighters. She's farming debut fighters to get her finishes. Every time a fighter is not 0-0, she's taking them to decision. Even if you are 0-0, you still have a chance to go to decision. She's taken a couple. There's girls that are 0-1 beating her in fights by finish. Shi Ming is not a quality fighter. Going to split decision on the road to UFC, that is never something you want to see. Against anyone who has more than like 2 fights, she's taking them to decision. No finishing ability. Zhao Kan Feng, on the other hand, a little bit of a decisionator, but not nearly as much. Arm bars, ground and pounds, and then the decisions on the road to UFC. What also a round 1 knockout. Now, the only thing that stopped me from just dumping my entire bank account on her is that she lost to Nali Yang. I, you can't lose to Nali Yang. That's not a loss you're allowed to take as a WMMA fighter. For those who don't know, Nali Yang might genuinely be the worst fighter to have ever been in the UFC. I mean, I don't even have words. How the fuck do you lose to Nali Yang? But anyways, that was a long time ago, many years ago. It's safe to say she's improved since then, obviously winning fights in first round knockout on the road to UFC. Give me Zhao Kan Feng by decision. I would pick her by finish, but sometimes you know what happens. You fight a person who wants to go to decision like Shi Ming does. You're going to go to decision whether you like it or not. They just kind of, these girls end up being hard to finish. They live for that 3-round fight. They're going to die in that 3-round fight. Zhao Kan Feng is one of my most confident picks on the card, and I'm pretty sure she's going to win this fight by decision. Alright, another fight that we can't click on. We have Kiro Sahota taking on Dong-Eun Choi. Not to be confused with Doo-Hoo Choi, who I originally looked at this card like super quick, and I thought maybe, but can't get that lucky. Now, Kiro Sahota, this guy's just tall as shit, super rangy fighter. I mean, he's fighting guys that are just not good. This Paneles guy, borderline, didn't belong in the cage with him. That guy was about as one-dimensional of a fighter as you can be. Looked like he just got done with his boxing class and decided to come grapple. Didn't work. Then we got Dong-Eun Choi here. This guy does everything, but he does nothing well, if that makes any sense. Now, I hate breaking down fights where I feel like I have to talk bad about a fighter. Let's get one thing straight. I'm not in denial. Every single person on this card, even Shi Ming, would fucking kill me, alright? Put me in the octagon. My little jiu-jitsu skills aren't going to do shit. I'm getting ran through by every fighter on this card. They'd all knock me out in probably less than a minute. So know that when I'm talking bad or talking down on a fighter, I'm not saying that I think, oh, they're just trash. They don't belong in the UFC. They shouldn't be fighting. I belong in there. No. Like, what I'm about to say isn't very kind. It isn't very nice. But don't get it twisted for me thinking that I can beat any of these guys in a fight, alright? Dong-Eun Choi is a little bit of a pussy in the cage. This guy, he gets hit once or twice. He bleeds easily. He doesn't hit hard. His takedowns, he looks like he doesn't care. He's not pushing through. He doesn't have any strength. He just does everything, but he doesn't really do anything well. He's just kind of there to be there. It looks like a guy who's just going through the motions. It's so hard for me to pick him to win this fight. I'm going to go Kiro Sahota by a decision. I think this fight's going to be very underwhelming. Dong-Eun Choi, if he gets him down, I mean, Sahota's going to get back up. Choi has no ground control. He has an okay single leg, an okay double. He doesn't have any control. He can't hold you. So I don't know, man. I think this fight's super low level. I think Dong-Eun Choi has a lot to prove to me. Maybe that's just me. Maybe I have a bad read on this guy. He's going to walk out there and get a knockout. But I don't know. I can't pick him from what I've seen. I don't think Sahota's good, by the way. I think Sahota's going to win this fight and then probably go 0-3 in the UFC and get cut after that. But just off of first read, I'm leaning him by decision. Alright, this breakdown, I'm going to keep this very quickly because for some reason I'm just not able to get a read on this Jausli guy. I just butchered his name. I'm sorry. Bergang Gialasili. That is the best I'm going to get, and that is terrible. Now, Su Young Yu, this guy is a grappler. First and foremost, he's shooting takedowns. He doesn't care. He's got cardio for days, and when I say days, I mean days. In the past 4 years, this guy has like 10 fights. Only one of them has gone under 3 rounds. This guy is firing on all cylinders for every single minute of every single round. He's going to be attempting takedowns. That's just a fact of the matter. Now, I cannot tell if this guy, I'm just going to say not you. I can't tell for the life of me if this guy's going to be able to defend the takedowns or not. Some guys he fights, he defends the takedowns perfectly. The other guys, they just take him down with ease. I can't get a read on this fight because it all depends on if he can stuff the takedowns. Now, I tend to lean grapplers when it's a pure grappler versus a pure striker matchup. I lean grapplers almost all the time. So I'm going to go with you, not to say that this guy, not you, is an only striker. I mean, he can do it all. You see him getting submissions here every once in a while. I just don't think he's going to have the grappling prowess to take down you. And I sure as hell don't think he's going to submit you. So for that reason, I don't think he's chinning him either. For that reason, give me you by decision after a heavy grappling fight. I'm sorry I don't have a better read on this fight. I mean, I watched more fights for this guy than I did for anyone else on this card, and I just don't know. I can't really make a pick. Something about this guy just gives me weird vibes. Alright, coming into a fight that I fucking love. I'm all in on the Mountain Tiger, Zhang Minyang. Been a big fan of this guy recently. After his Contender Series fight, I was like, hell yeah, this guy's going to be one of my favorite fighters. His debut, he did not disappoint. Now, he is super, super young for what he's doing. He's only 26 years old, guys. I was kind of looking at it. I was thinking about this guy a while ago. I was like, when is Zhang Minyang going to fight? I'm thinking Brenson Ribeiro got knocked out clean, and I've seen him twice. I haven't seen Minyang at all. Well, he's been in the lab. He's been cooking, okay? And now at the age of 26, I don't mind this layoff. It's been like a 9-month layoff, 10-month layoff. I don't mind that at all for a guy this young. He's been seen as kind of a super one-dimensional fighter. I think that just going to stay the same. I don't think he needs to do anything different this fight. He's been kind of one-dimensional his whole career. I don't think that's really going to change. I think he can add skills, but for a fight like this against Ozzy fucking Diaz, dude, he's not going to have to change anything. You want to rattle off some Zhang Minyang facts? This guy's last 14 fights have ended inside the first round. It's been 6 years since this guy's seen a second round. You think he's going to see a second round against Ozzy Diaz? Ozzy Diaz, never been to decision either. Zhang Minyang went to decision once. I took a look at that guy. I saw one picture. I was like, yeah, he looks like a brick shithouse. No wonder you're not going to get that guy out of there. You got Ozzy Diaz. This guy borderline sucks. This guy was an LFA champ, but nobody cares. The most exciting thing about the card where this guy defended his belt is the fact that Mitilek Orobai was supposed to be on the card, but that fight fizzled out. I think Zhang Minyang is going to put this dude out cold in the first round. I don't think that's too bold of a take, but it's just what's going to happen. Now, with Zhang Minyang's style, we have seen him chin before. Granted, it has not been in a while. But when you fight the fight that he loves to fight, there's times when you're going to get got. We were talking about that with the Moda fight earlier, Machate. When you fight the way you do, sometimes you're going to get got. Now, I don't think Ozzy Diaz is going to be the one to do it. But there will be someone at some point that just hits him with a counter. And the chin of Zhang Minyang, which has been holding up extremely well recently, it's going to crumble at some point. It has to. You can't take all these shots just stepping into the pocket and wailing hooks without some repercussions down the line. Now, Ozzy Diaz, obviously, you can knock out guys in the LFA. When you fight someone like Joe Pyfer, a real puncher, you get put out. Same thing's going to happen here. Zhang Minyang, round 1 knockout, under half of a round. Next fight up, another one I'm very excited about. We have Volkan Ozdemir taking on Carlos Ulberg. Now, in my head, maybe I'm just tripping. You look at these guys, you think Carlos Ulberg, he's got to be like 25, 26. Volkan Ozdemir, he's got to be like 40. You just look at him, you're looking at him in the cage after their fights and stuff. Just the way they present themselves. Volkan Ozdemir is only 1 year older than Carlos Ulberg. Carlos Ulberg's 34. This guy's a 34-year-old prospect. What are we doing? Volkan Ozdemir has been on a little bit of a run. Knocked out Johnny Walker. Welcome to the club. Everybody's knocked out Johnny Walker. And then he got that choke over Bogdan Guskov. He showed the grappling a little bit, which is good. You love to see that. And then Carlos Ulberg, on the other hand, has been on an absolute tear. Coming off that 12-second knockout over Alonzo Menafield, that wasn't necessarily Carlos Ulberg being super good. Alonzo Menafield just had the worst game plan I've ever seen in my life. Then he had that third round submission over Dawoon Jung. I think Herb Dean was trying to let Dawoon Jung die. He tapped out and he let him sit in the choke for like another 14 seconds. And then Ihor Potieria, obviously you're going to beat Ihor Potieria. Come on, man. Somehow, someway, Kennedy Nzechukwu holds a win over Carlos Ulberg. That was his debut fight, took him to the second round. He dumped the gas trying to get the finish in round one. And Nzechukwu did what he tends to do sometimes, and that's get a late round finish. Unfortunate as it is, but it is what it is that happened. Ulberg hasn't lost since then. He hasn't looked back. A lot of people I'm seeing are picking Ulberg by murder, Ulberg by whatever he wants. Now, I don't know really how you get to that conclusion. Volkan Ozdemir's only been knocked out twice. One of them was a TKO from Daniel Cormier when he fought him for the belt. And the other one was Yuri Prochazka. You aren't going long with Yuri. Nobody goes long with Yuri, okay? That's just not going to happen. Either he's dying or you're dying. No in between. Carlos Ulberg has showed a little bit of a, not necessarily a hole in the grappling. He cleaned it up a little bit against Dawoon Jung. But I think that's how Volkan Ozdemir is going to fight this fight. I think he's going to be getting pieced up on the feet. I think he's going to try and work in the clinch, work in the grappling. He's going to end up holding Carlos Ulberg. I'm looking for a Carlos Ulberg in round 3 or by decision here. I think he's definitely the better fighter. I think he's got a more promising future. If he does happen to spark Volkan Ozdemir, don't be surprised when he grabs the mic and he calls out Alex Pereira. Seems a little far-fetched, but this division is shallow as hell. We just saw Khalil Roundtree get a title shot. And another thing I have to share, I know it was like 8 years ago or something stupid like that, 6 years ago maybe. Volkan Ozdemir got choked out by Anthony Smith. Next fight. Next fight up, we have the female Joker, Wang Kong, taking on Gabriela Fernandez. Now this fight, you think it's easy to pick. You see Wang Kong as a minus 900 favorite. You think it's an easy pick. It should be, but it kind of isn't. Neither one of these fighters have fought anyone worth a shit. Okay, so I take that back. Gabriela Fernandez fought Jasmine Jasudavicius, got worked in the wrestling. She fought Teresa Bleda, got worked in the wrestling. Fought Carly Judice, one of the worst fighters in the UFC. She won a split decision. Speaking of Carly Judice, she just got announced she's fighting Juliana Miller. I was talking to some friends. I think that might be the lowest level fight that has ever been booked in the UFC. That should borderline be an amateur bout. They shouldn't even count that on their professional records. That fight's embarrassing. Anyways, Wang Kong in her last fight got a 1-minute knockout over Victoria Leonardo. Now, Victoria Leonardo sucks, okay? That's a great win. She has a lot of hype riding on her for good reason. She's a dangerous fighter. I just don't think you can translate a 1-minute knockout into this fight. I think Wang Kong's going to get this fight won on the cards. Knockout's not out of the question. Gabriela Fernandez does get hit, but we haven't seen her go against someone that's got the striking prowess of Wang Kong. I think Wang Kong's going to touch her up from the outside, ride this one out to a nice decision win. Next fight up, we have Song Kanan taking on Muslim Salikov. Now this fight right here is another one that's tough to pick. Because in his prime, Muslim Salikov was an absolute killer, round 1 knockout after round 1 knockout. However, he is 40. A lot of people would call him over the hill in terms of fighting years. He should have been done a long time ago. But somehow he's just winning. He did not win his last fight, but they gave him the win, so he's still in the UFC. Santiago Ponzinibbio, just a tough striker to deal with. Song Kanan coming off that win, decision win against Ricky Glenn. He didn't look good. He was hurt. He was on death's doorstep for a little bit. But he fought back. He won that fight. And you cannot get a read on Song Kanan. You never know what this guy's going to do. He makes some terrible decisions. For example, in the Ian Gary fight, I would watch that fight back 2 or 3 times. I think there's a real world where he could have finished Ian Gary. But you drop the guy, you just want to push him against the cage, try and drive the head under. What are you going to do, shoot a takedown? No. It's just hard to watch. You can't make a good decision to save his life. Am I really going to pick Muslim Salikov by knockout in the year 2024? Yeah, you know what? Fuck it. Give me Muslim Salikov by knockout. I think Song Kanan gets hit way too much. His defense isn't good. Yeah, Muslim Salikov's old. I think it's going to be some weird shit. I think Muslim Salikov is going to get one more highlight to throw on that reel. Give me Muslim Salikov by some type of spinning knockout. I would like to say if this fight goes the distance, Song Kanon's probably going to win. But if it ends inside the distance, give me Muslim Salikov all day. Co-main event time, we have Yao Xiaonan taking on Tabitha Ricci. Now this fight's another one that's a little bit tricky to pick. I mean, I have a clear side that I like in this fight, but I'm not super confident because it relies on a decision. I think Yan Xiaonan is going to win this fight, but when you're going to the cards against someone with the pressure of Tabitha Ricci, it's tough. Tabitha Ricci didn't outstrike Angela Hill. She out cage controlled her. There's probably less than 50 strikes that she threw that actually landed. I know on the card she got a lot more strikes landed, whatever. I don't think many of those were landing. I just think Tabitha Ricci pushes you against the cage, racks up some control time. She can't really hold you, can't really take you down, doesn't have any ground control, doesn't do a whole lot, but does enough. Yan Xiaonan, on the other hand, is a fighter that used to struggle a lot with the wrestling. You can't say that she hasn't fixed that a little bit. Against Wei Li, you're not going to out-wrestle Wei Li. It's just not going to happen right now. Wei Li's on a run. Wei Li's on a tear. Wei Li's going to be champ until she decides to leave the division, I think. I just don't see anyone beating her. I mean, Yan Xiaonan's tough as hell. Basically got choked out round 1, knocked out in like round 3 or something like that. I forget the exact round for that one, but she was basically out of that fight like 2 or 3 times. Kept fighting, kept coming forward, always in it to win it. I just think that Yan Xiaonan's going to be the better striker. Tabitha Ricci obviously dating King Callum Walsh. You have to think they've been training together for a while now. Not just training, just together, living with that kind of personality, seeing those trainings. Her striking has to improve at some point, right? I mean, your striking can't be that ass forever. You're not going to always be able to hold someone against the cage to win a decision. I just think right now Yan Xiaonan is more better, you know? I sound like a tard saying that. She's more better. That's just the way I see the fight. I think Yan Xiaonan is just a better fighter than Tabitha Ricci. She can do more in more places. She can strike. She can grapple a little bit. This isn't going to be like the Carla Esparza fight. She's not going to get put in crucifix and elbowed to death. Give me Yan Xiaonan by a decision. Alright, we got the main event here. Petr Yan, Deiveson Figueiredo. Figueiredo, obviously the former flyweight champion of the world, had the first quadrilogy in the UFC with Brandon Moreno. Ended up losing that series. The first one, obviously, they drew, so the champion Figueiredo retained. Brandon Moreno then came back, choked him out. Then Figgy won a decision. Then Moreno got him with TKO doctor stoppage. After that, he decided he's done with the division, didn't have anything more to prove. Went up, dominated Rob Font, choked out Cody Garbrandt, and then he dropped Marlon Chito Vera. Very impressive. First fighter to ever do that. Petr Yan, on the other hand, coming off a bounce-back win against Song Yadong. But before that, man, he was struggling. Obviously lost his belt to Aljo, then he beat Corey, and then he lost to Aljo again, then he lost to O'Malley, then he lost to Marab. And it wasn't looking good for him. I'm not going to lie, I was talking a lot of shit about him. I was saying that after Song Yadong beats him, Petr Yan can go be a 1FC champion. Unfortunately, he got my boy Song. It is what it is. You know, you win some, you lose some. And now he's coming into this fight against Figueiredo. I think the grappling is going to be a little tough for that first 2 rounds. I think Figgy's going to be able to take Petr Yan down. I think he's going to kind of dominate the first 2 rounds. But then I think that's where the tides turn. I think Petr Yan is very live in a live bet situation here. Figgy does not look good in round 3. Round 3 against Rob Font, he's looking a little slow. Round 3 against Chito, he's looking a little slow. Round 3 against Chito had me thinking maybe if this was 5 fights, Chito could pull this out of the bag. But maybe that's just how he fights, knowing it's for 3 rounds. But then again, in the 5-round fights against Moreno, he wasn't looking good. The last 2 rounds, he's getting outstruck. I don't know. I can't really pick Figueiredo knowing that I can't trust his cardio. He's also getting up there in age. Petr Yan's a little bit younger, a little bit more primed. I think Petr Yan has something to prove. He wants to get back to that belt, regardless of the fact that he'll never win it again. I think that Figueiredo is going to dominate rounds 1 and 2. Petr Yan's going to win 3, 4. And then give me Petr Yan by TKO round 5 over just a death-gassed Figueiredo on the ground in the corner. And then there we have it. That's the fight breakdown. Hope you guys enjoyed. Hope you guys learned something. Hopefully we can get a good pick rate going for this event. A lot of fights I wasn't too certain on. These Road to the UFC ones can be super tricky to predict. Hopefully I did a good job. Hopefully we can make some money. Tune into the betting guide dropping tomorrow after you guys are seeing this. And yeah, we'll catch you there. Let's make some money, guys. Join the Discord for absolutely free. We'll be sweating out the bets in there, sweating out the picks. Might even be in the server. This fight's at like 3 a.m. We'll be watching, man. We'll be watching. We'll be learning. We'll be cashing. And we'll hope to catch you guys in the next one, man. Peace out.